My name is Sophia Bennett, and I'm 35 years old. If someone had told me a few years ago that my life would turn upside down in a single night, I would have laughed it off. But sometimes, life has a way of surprising you in the most unexpected and painful ways. For 5 long years, my husband Ryan and I tried everything to have a baby. Our journey was filled with hope, heartbreak, and 1,000 little moments that tested our patience and our love. Every month, I would wait anxiously, hoping for a sign, only to be met with disappointment. We visited doctors, tried different treatments, and even changed our diets. There were days when I felt like my entire life revolved around ovulation calendars and doctor appointments. The emotional roller coaster was exhausting. Sometimes, I would find myself crying alone in the bathroom, feeling like my body had betrayed me. Ryan was always there, or so I thought. He would hold me after every failed attempt, whispering words of comfort. "It'll happen, Sophia, I believe in us." He came with me to every appointment, held my hand during tests, and even brought me little gifts to cheer me up. I truly believed we were in this together, fighting the same battle. But everything changed during a weekend trip that was supposed to be just another routine escape from the city. I had booked a short stay at a coastal hotel, hoping the ocean air would clear my mind. Halfway through the trip, I started feeling off. At first, I blamed the fatigue on long hours and travel stress. My body felt heavier than usual, and there was a strange, persistent nausea that wouldn't go away. I tried to ignore it, telling myself not to get my hopes up. After so many disappointments, I had trained myself to expect nothing. But that morning, something felt different. I woke up with a sense of exhaustion that went beyond just being tired. My stomach churned, and there was a lightheadedness that made it hard to focus. I brushed it off, thinking maybe I just needed more sleep or a better breakfast. But as the day went on, the feeling only grew stronger. By the afternoon, as I sat on the hotel balcony watching the waves, a thought popped into my head, one I had tried to suppress for years. Could I be pregnant? I froze, my heart pounding. I tried to push the thought away, but it kept coming back. That evening, after dinner, I found myself standing in front of a small pharmacy near the hotel. I hesitated for a moment, then walked in and bought a pregnancy test. Even as I paid for it, I kept telling myself not to expect anything. I had taken so many tests before, and each one had ended in heartbreak. Back in my hotel room, I placed the test on the bathroom sink and stared at it for a long time. My hands were shaking. I whispered to myself, "Don't get your hopes up." But deep down, a tiny spark of hope had already ignited. I took the test, then set it down and turned away, unable to watch. Those 2 minutes felt like an eternity, longer than the last 5 years combined. Finally, I forced myself to look. 2 pink lines. For a moment, I couldn't process what I was seeing. I just stood there staring at the test, my mind blank. Then suddenly tears welled up in my eyes, and a small, disbelieving laugh escaped my lips. After 5 years of pain and disappointment, I was finally pregnant. My legs felt weak, and I sank to the bathroom floor, clutching the test in my hand. I placed my other hand on my stomach and whispered, "Hello." I didn't know if my baby could hear me, but in that moment, I felt a connection I had never felt before. My world had changed in an instant. The first person I wanted to tell was Ryan. He had been my rock through all the ups and downs. I grabbed my phone, ready to call him, but then I paused. This news was too special for a phone call. It deserved a real surprise. I cancelled the rest of my plans and booked the earliest train back to the city. The entire journey, I was buzzing with excitement. I imagined Ryan's reaction over and over. Would he cry? Would he laugh? Would he pick me up and spin me around like he did on our wedding day? I couldn't stop smiling, even as exhaustion tugged at my eyelids. By the time I reached our apartment, it was late at night. The city was quiet, and the lights inside our home were still on. My heart raced as I walked up to the door, my hand resting on my purse where the pregnancy test was safely tucked away. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, expecting to find Ryan alone, maybe watching TV or reading. Instead, I heard voices coming from the living room. Ryan was home, but he wasn't alone. I recognized the other voice immediately. It was my cousin, Lily. She visited often, so I didn't think much of it at first. In fact, I smiled, thinking I could surprise them both with the news. But as I walked closer, something felt off. Their laughter was different, playful, intimate, almost flirtatious. My smile faded. I stopped just before entering the room and peeked inside. What I saw made my stomach twist. Ryan was standing very close to Lily, his hand resting on her waist. Lily was looking up at him with a smile I had never seen before. For a moment, I tried to convince myself I was imagining things. Maybe I was just tired, maybe I was reading too much into it. But then Ryan spoke. "Relax, she won't be back until tomorrow." Lily giggled. 5 years and she still suspects nothing. My heart pounded so loudly I thought they might hear it. Then Ryan said something that shattered me completely. "You were right about the medication. Without it, she probably would have gotten pregnant years ago." Lily crossed her arms, a smug smile on her face. "Of course I was right. Soon she'll finally give up on having a baby." Ryan chuckled. "And that's when I'll marry you instead." Lily leaned closer. "And everyone will think you sacrificed your happiness just to give her the child she always wanted." I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. The pregnancy test in my purse suddenly felt like a heavy stone. All those years of pain, the endless doctor visits, the tears, it wasn't fate or bad luck. It was them, my husband and my own cousin. My vision blurred with tears, but I didn't walk into the room. I didn't scream or confront them. Instead, I quietly stepped backward, opened the door, and walked out into the cold night, clutching the one miracle they had tried to steal from me, my baby. I wandered the empty city park, the cold wind biting at my skin, but I barely felt it. Tears streamed down my face as I held my purse tightly against my chest. Inside was the proof that after 5 years of pain, I was finally going to be a mother. And the two people who should have been happiest for me were the ones who had been destroying my chances all along. I sat down on a park bench, my breathing uneven, memories of the past 5 years flooding my mind. Every night I cried alone, every doctor appointment where I prayed for good news, every time Ryan hugged me and told me everything would be okay, it all felt like a cruel joke. I pressed my hand gently against my stomach. "My baby," I whispered through tears. For a moment, anger surged inside me. I wanted to run back into the apartment, to scream at them, to expose everything right then and there. But then another thought stopped me. If I confronted them now, they would just deny everything. They would act innocent, and they would find another way to hurt me. No, I had already suffered enough. This time, I wasn't going to lose. That night, I checked into a nearby hotel. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard their voices again. 5 years and she still suspects nothing. Soon she'll give up on having a baby. Then I'll marry you instead. Each sentence felt like a knife twisting in my heart. But by morning, something inside me had changed. The crying had stopped. The pain was still there, but now it was mixed with determination. If Ryan and Lily thought they had already won, I would let them keep believing that, for now. Later that morning, I returned home. Ryan was sitting in the kitchen, drinking coffee like everything was normal. When he saw me, he smiled. "You're back early," he said casually. "I missed you." Those words, which once would have melted my heart, now felt empty. Still, I forced myself to smile. "My plans ended sooner than expected," I replied calmly. He walked over and hugged me. For a moment, I almost pulled away, but I stayed still. I realized that if I wanted the truth to come out, I needed them to keep thinking I knew nothing. Over the next few days, I acted exactly the same as always. I cooked dinner, talked about normal things, even laughed at Ryan's jokes. Meanwhile, I started paying closer attention to everything. I checked the medicine bottles in the bathroom, the same vitamins Ryan used to give me every night, the ones he said would help my body prepare for pregnancy. But now, I wasn't so sure. I secretly took photos of the labels. I also started checking Ryan's messages whenever he left his phone unattended. It didn't take long before I found what I needed: conversations between him and Lily, messages about their future, their plans, and their timing. But the worst message was the one that made my stomach twist. Ryan had written, "Don't worry, soon I'll tell everyone she can't have children. After that, marrying you will look like the only solution." Lily replied with a laughing emoji. "Poor Sophia, she'll never see it coming." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I slowly locked the phone and placed it back exactly where it was. They thought I was blind. They thought I was weak. But they had no idea that everything was about to change. 2 weeks later, Ryan announced something during a family celebration dinner. He stood up, cleared his throat, and held my hand in front of everyone. "I have something important to say," he began, his voice sounding emotional. "I love my wife more than anything in this world." The room became quiet. "But after 5 years of trying, we've accepted that she may never become a mother. So after many painful conversations, we decided something difficult. For the sake of having a child, I will marry someone else." Gasps filled the room. My cousin Lily lowered her head, pretending to look nervous. Ryan squeezed my hand and said, "The woman who agreed to help us is her own cousin." The room exploded with shocked whispers. Everyone looked at me with sympathy. They thought I was the poor, broken wife sacrificing everything. But inside, I was completely calm, because they had just walked straight into the trap I was preparing. For a few seconds, I stayed silent. Then slowly I stood up. The room became quiet again. Ryan looked at me with a soft expression. "You don't have to say anything," he said gently, pretending to care. "We already talked about this." I looked at him calmly, then slowly removed my hand from his. "I know," I said softly, "but I do have something to say." Everyone turned their attention toward me. I took a deep breath. 5 years, everyone here knows how badly I wanted to become a mother. Many people nodded with sympathy. Some of my relatives even looked emotional. And for 5 years, I believed that maybe something was wrong with me. My voice trembled slightly. I blamed my own body. Ryan lowered his head, pretending to look sad. But then I said something that made him suddenly look up. "But sometimes life surprises you." The room became completely silent. I placed my hand gently on my stomach. "And 2 weeks ago, I discovered something incredible." I looked around the room slowly. "I'm pregnant." For a moment, no one moved. Then the room exploded with shocked voices. "What, pregnant after 5 years?" I could see Ryan's face turning pale and Lily's eyes widening in disbelief. Ryan forced a nervous laugh. "That's wonderful," he stuttered, but I wasn't finished. I looked directly at him. "Yes, it is wonderful," I said, my voice suddenly cold. "Especially considering that for the past 5 years, someone has been secretly giving me medication designed to prevent pregnancy." The room suddenly went silent again. Ryan's face lost all color. Lily took a step back. I reached into my purse and slowly pulled out my phone. I spent the last 2 weeks collecting proof. I turned the screen toward everyone: messages, photos of the medicine bottles, screenshots of conversations, and finally the messages between Ryan and Lily. Gasps filled the room. Someone whispered, "This can't be real." I looked directly at my cousin. "You really thought I would never find out?" Lily's face turned completely white. "Sophia, listen, it's not what you think." "Stop," I said calmly. Then I looked at Ryan. "For 5 years you pretended to love me. For 5 years you watched me cry and blame myself. And all that time you and my own cousin were poisoning me." The room erupted into angry voices. Relatives started shouting. Some people looked at Ryan with disgust. Others stared at Lily like they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Ryan tried to step toward me. "Sophia, please let me explain," but I stepped back. "No," I said firmly, "there's nothing left to explain." Then I calmly placed a folder on the table. "These are the divorce papers." Ryan stared at them like he had just seen a ghost. "You're divorcing me?" I looked straight into his eyes. "You lost that right the moment you tried to destroy my life." Then I added one final sentence. "And by the way, the police are already on their way." At that exact moment, there was a loud knock on the front door. Two police officers walked into the room. Everyone stepped aside as they approached Ryan and Lily. One of the officers, Detective Marcus Hale, spoke calmly. "We received a report involving illegal drugging and fraud." Ryan tried to speak, but the officer raised a hand. "You have the right to remain silent." Lily started crying. Ryan looked completely broken. Within minutes, both of them were taken away in handcuffs. The room was silent again. Everyone looked at me differently now, not with pity, but with respect. I placed my hand on my stomach again. For the first time in weeks, I felt peace, because the people who tried to destroy my life had finally destroyed their own. And this time, I wasn't the woman hiding in the hallway anymore. I was the woman who survived, and soon I would become a mother. Today, 5 years have passed. My daughter is 5 now. She is the happiest part of my life. It's just the two of us and our small, peaceful home. I never married again. I chose to raise my daughter on my own. As for Ryan and Lily, they are still in prison. And for the first time in my life, I finally have peace. If you're listening to my story, I want you to remember, sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones closest to you, but you are stronger than you think. Even in your darkest moments, there is hope. And sometimes miracles happen when you least expect them.